Okay, hello everybody. My name's Jameson Chase Young, and this is Coins and History. I'm first going over my 1961 Benjamin Franklin half dollars, the Denver Mint, and then we'll be talking about the Tsar Bomba, the largest nuclear explosion ever. So please stick around for that. But in between then and now, my Benjamin Franklin 1961 Denver Mints. These are great coins. They're especially great because the early 60s Benjamin half dollars, like throughout the 1950s, they printed so many of these Franklin half dollars that the dies and the mints all kind of started to wear down. So in the late 50s, you start to see like not very much detail in some of the Benjamin Franklins, but in the early 60s, they had all replaced those dies. So you got like really sharp ones. These 1960 ones show that. And it's important to note, like on the back, like the Benjamin Franklin is like one of the only coins that doesn't have a huge eagle that fills the entire back. It had a Liberty Bell, and off to the side you see a little tiny eagle. That's because there's like some type of rule or law that they had to have eagles on all of the half dollars. But the one woman who would design this coin, she really wanted Benjamin Franklin and the Liberty Bell on the back, and she pushed hard for it, but they still had to put the little eagle on the back just to follow the rules of the times. So you see that little tiny eagle. But yeah, these are great coins. In 1961 total, they printed 31,594,686. Now this one specifically, the Denver Mint, printed 20,276,442. And then the Philadelphia Mint printed 11,318,244. So there was only two mints that minted the Franklin half dollars in 1961. And the mass of these Franklin half dollars is 12.5 grams. The diameter is 30.6. Its thickness is 1.8 millimeters. Its edge is reeded. Its composition is 90% silver, 10% copper. Its silver total is 0.36169, and they minted these from 1948 to 1963, so these are like Cold War half dollars. The mint mark on the back is above the Liberty Bell and below the E in the word state, and its designer is John R. Sinuk. Yeah, these are really great half dollars. I like them for their simplicity. Like, you know, there's not like too much junk all just jammed in into like one little area, and all the words are like really big so they don't get worn down easy. Yeah, there's something great about the the Franklin half dollars simply because of their simplicity. They're the last half dollar to have an entire run of silver. You know, the next year in 1964, they started minting those Kennedy half dollars, and for the first year, those were silver in 64, and then like 65 through 70, they were like 40% silver, and then they went to no silver at all. But the Franklin half dollars is the last true silver half dollar from start to finish, from 48 through 63. So they're great coins. And it was in 1961, during this year, when the Soviet Union tested the largest nuclear explosion ever, which is known as the Tsar Bomba. And it happened on October 30th, 1961. And it remains to this day, a very significant time in the history of nuclear weapons. It was developed by the Soviet Union during the Cold War. This hydrogen bomb was designed to showcase the country's nuclear capabilities. Its creation was motivated by the desire to assert dominance in the ongoing arms war with the United States. And that's important to note. Like with the United States, we kind of took the route, like a bomb that big and that heavy, both big in its explosiveness, and also big in how big it was. It wasn't done tactically. They were just trying to take the route of, they wanted to blow an explosion off so big, so to kind of show the United States, yeah, look what we got. And the United States, we took the route of blowing off lots and lots of nuclear weapons at test sites. Like we blew off over 1,000. So our route that we took to kind of intimidate them was like, yeah, we got so many of these things, we basically just pop them off like firecrackers. But the Soviet Union took the route that, they wanted to show how big. And this was, right around the time of the Cuban Missile Crisis. The Tsar Bomba, officially known as AN-602, was the largest, most powerful nuclear device ever detonated with an estimated yield of 50 megatons. For the longest time, we always thought it was 58 megatons, but they believe it was closer to 50 megatons. But they originally had planned on making it 100 megatons. They somewhat backed out of that because they knew the fallout, like the radiation fallout, would be really bad. But some of the only reason why they backed out of that is because they wanted, for some reason, to do an airburst, and they didn't know if they could get their pilot crew, their airplane that drops the bomb, they didn't know if they could get them away in time. So they scaled it back to like 50 some megatons, making it a pivotal moment in nuclear history. The testing of the Tsar Bomba took place over the remote Arctic Ocean. I'll leave the actual names. The massive bomb was dropped from a specialized modified Tu-95 bomber. Yeah, they had to modify it because it is a huge bomb. The bomb itself was like 60,000 pounds, almost 27 feet long, 7 feet wide. So it was not just a huge explosion wise, but it was huge size wise, the actual device. Oh, another thing about that Tu bomber, when they did drop it, it dropped in altitude like hundreds and hundreds of meters, because when the shock wave hit them, and they almost couldn't gain control, but they gained control and flew it home just fine. And the pilots that all got some type of special Soviet hero award. The detonation produced a fireball that measured approximately 8 kilometers wide in diameter and generated an unprecedented mushroom cloud that soared approximately 40 miles high into the atmosphere. The resulting shockwave traveled around the planet 3 times and shattered windows hundreds of miles away. Yeah, it was huge. I'll definitely show some pictures of it. But yeah, that's the Tsar Bomba detonated in the Arctic Circle. And that bomb was dropped October 30th, 1961. And yeah, it's pretty stupid, a pretty huge waste of resources. You couldn't actually deploy it in, warfare because the explosion was so huge. So it was just a show of force. And some of the videos of it, because the cameras had to be so far away and stuff, you couldn't even get really great videos of it. But it was what was going on in 1961 when this Franklin half dollar was being minted. So it's a very interesting time period. The whole Cold War time period is really interesting. And these 1961 Franklin half dollars, like I said, are really great. They got really crisp prints. And this is Coins in History. If you enjoy these videos, please like them and please subscribe to the channel. My name's Jameson Chase Young, and thank you for tuning in.